Today we're going to be taking a look at the Savage Model 64, which is a great entry-level 22 semi-automatic rifle. We'll take a look here, make sure it's clear. Pull the bolt back, check the chamber, drop the mag, it's clear. This rifle does have a bolt hold open back here. And the magazine is a little tricky to use. It is a 10-shot detachable magazine. And in order to release it, you have to push this button here forward and pull out on the mag, and the mag comes free. And to reinstall, push up and slide it in. This rifle I've owned now for about 8 years and have had absolutely nothing to complain about with it. When I purchased it, it originally had just a no-name generic 4-power scope on it, and I upgraded it to a 3 to 9 power scope, Simmons, and it has been extremely accurate both for plinking and for small game. This particular version of the 64 is what Savage calls a 64G, which means it has this nice wood Monte Carlo style stock on it. And I'll give you a close up there. For the money, for what these guns cost, this is a beautiful, beautiful stock. Okay, I've brought the camera back here so you can get a little bit closer up view of the Savage here. It is a 21-inch barrel on this model, which is enough length and just short enough to make it handy and easy to carry around. There's some more of that beautiful wood stock on this rifle. I just love the wood grain and the quality of the wood on this gun, especially for the money. Here you can see the bolt hold open. Just, if I can do this on camera, bring the bolt back and push down on the charging handle and it holds the bolt open, and then you just pull up and let it down to release. There is the magazine release and the bottom of the magazine, of course. These do have a plastic trigger guard on them, which seems to be pretty common with most 22s, but I don't know, I just find it a little cheap, but they all seem to have it, so it's not a big deal. And I'll give you a close-up of the Simmons scope that I have on here. Again, from new, it came with just a generic no-name 4-power scope, which was just fine, but I wanted to upgrade to the adjustable 3 to 9. And back here we have the safety. This is the safe position. This would be fire. Now it should have a red dot in that little indent there, which I lost it somewhere along the way. Don't know what happened to it, but that's fire. And to the rear is safe. Now I'm going to show you how to disassemble the Savage Model 64. The rifle's already been checked, so we know it's safe. First thing we do, obviously, pull out the magazine, set it aside. Now, on the bottom we have these 2 screws that hold in the magazine plate here. We're going to have to take those out. And these are captive screws, so they won't come out the whole way. They'll just get to a point that they're loose. And plate comes off. then we can take the rifle out of the stock. This is what the inside of the stock looks like. Set that aside where it's out of the way. Now, the next step, which is sort of unusual, is we're going to take the barrel off. And to do that, you will need a 7/16 inch wrench and this nut right here. Just want to loosen that up. Pop this little retaining piece out. And the barrel comes out. This is our ejector on the end of the barrel. Okay, now our next step is going to be we need to take out these 3 screws here. Let's get the appropriate bit. Be careful not to lose, there's these little lock washers on the screws. Careful you don't lose those. This one in the back can be a little tricky just because of the trigger in the way there, but it's not too bad. And then the other screw in there is going to be a Phillips. And that one's a little tricky because of the mag well in the way. Oh, bolt was under tension there, that's why it snapped forward. Mag well and trigger assembly come out. Let me pull the bolt forward. We can pull the charging handle out, and the bolt comes out of the receiver. And this is all you need to do for just standard preventative maintenance to clean the gun, lube it, and whatnot. I will say I've had this trigger assembly apart. Because this gun has, I would say, at least 3,000 rounds through it, and the trigger was starting to get kind of gritty, and you could hear, when you'd work the trigger, you could hear just some grit in there. And I've watched some other videos on YouTube of how to take it apart, and it is a pain. Getting it apart's not so bad, but it's going back together that kind of turns into a nightmare, and I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you really have to, and I don't have to, so I'm not going to do that. Give you a close-up of the bolt here while we have it out. This is the bolt face, and it's got a pretty stiff spring in it there. Now to go back together, this curved portion of the bolt has to be facing down, just like that. Put it back in. We get our charging handle, stick that in, pull it back to there. Now then we get our mag well. That goes like that. And our trigger assembly. And you always want to start with the small Phillips screw first because it's right in there next to the mag well, and once you get the other screw in, you're not going to be able to get this in there. You don't want to get it too tight, but just snug will work. Put our other screw back here. The thing about these screws is they're nice and big, and it's pretty easy to get them started because you can just grab a hold of them. And the last one here. Just like that. Now we're ready for our barrel to go back on. The extractor you're going to want to have towards the left side of the rifle when it goes back in. Kind of have to wiggle it a little bit and it'll slide right in there. And you kind of have to lay it down here. Kind of have to push back on it and get these grooves to line up. Just like that. Get that centered there. Get our barrel nut. And again, don't get crazy tightening it down so it's decently snug. And that's all the firing mechanism all put back together. And we just got to get our stock. And of course everything just kind of drops right down in. Going the wrong way. And now she is reassembled. Safety works. And she does fire. We're here at the range with the Savage 64. I got several kinds of ammo here to test out. We've got the Remington 22 Thunderbolt, the Federal Auto Match, both in bulk. We have the CCI Standard Velocity. That's what I was shooting in the opening scene where I was shooting at the bullseye target. We've got the Winchester Super X hollow point, the CCI Mini Mag hollow point, and the Remington 22 Cyclone hollow point. Got all the mags loaded up. We'll shoot and see if they all run smoothly through the Savage. Going to start off with the Federal Auto Match. Now the Remington 22 Thunderbolt. the Winchester Super X. And looks like we have a failure to eject, possibly. I'm going to clear this and we'll come back to you. Okay, I'm back with the Savage here. Looks like it was actually a dud round on that Winchester Super X. And we'll continue with the Super X, finish out the mag. Now we've got the CCI Mini Mag, hollow point. And last up we have the Remington 22 Cyclone. As you can see, they all fed fine. We just had that one dud round of the Winchester, but that was not the gun's fault, that was the ammo. I'm back from the range with the Savage Model 64. And as you can see from the video, it was a accurate and reliable semi-auto 22. The one mishap that we did have was with Winchester Super X ammunition, and that appeared to just be a bad spot on the primer of that round. I was able to reload it again off camera and actually fire it, and it worked just fine. So overall, I would say this is a great gun if you're looking for something for either plinking or for small game hunting, you know, maybe for a first rifle for your kid. It would be a great option. It is a, you know, nice, light, handy rifle. Weighs maybe 5 pounds. The also, I forgot to mention earlier, the barrel is free floated, which is nice and helps accuracy. I'll show you the trigger on this gun. I don't believe I did that earlier. So there's a little bit of take up, as you can see there, and a nice clean break. It's a pretty light trigger, but not too light. Just what you'd kind of want in a gun like this. And you know, for the money, I think this is a great option. I paid $179 for this gun about 8 years ago, and like I say, it came with just a cheap no-name scope on it, and you know, the hardwood stock, which raised the price a little bit. But for $179, I'm more than happy with this gun, and now I'm seeing them with the synthetic stock and no scope for right around $100, which, I mean, is a steal for this gun. You know, of course, you can spend a lot more than that on a semi-auto 22, but for the money, I think this is the best one out there. It's proven to be very reliable. Like I say, I would say probably over 3,000 rounds through this gun since I've owned it, and never any major issues, never any issues with accuracy or reliability. And I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and don't forget to like and comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel started, and I would really appreciate the help. Thank you.